You have to feel this is their year.
They must be playing defensive. Schmeichel's not coming up for this one. Thinks he's done enough.
Is this their moment? Beckham. Into Sheringham. And Solskjaer has won it! Manchester United have reached the promised land. Ole
10,
Solskjaer.
9, 8,
Two substitutes
7,
have scored the
6,
2 goals in
5,
stoppage time.
4,
And the
3,
treble looms
2,
large.
1.
Hello and welcome to the United Community Podcast. This is the first podcast of the United Community Podcast where we are going to discuss everything Manchester United. It's an interactive fan podcast. And of course, Manchester United are absolute pants. Terrible performance this week. So we're going to talk about Manchester United. We're going to talk as well generally about the weekend's fixtures in terms of week one of the Premier League. The 2022-2023 season is after bursting into life. And we're also going to talk as well about maybe some fantasy Premier League stuff come the end of the show. But anybody who's listening already, you're more than welcome. Thanks for joining us. Let us know your names in the chat. Get your comments in. And we're going to dive right into it, I suppose. But before we do that, I'm going to introduce you to my co-host today, good friend of mine, David Rice. He's in to talk about football with us. We do it every weekend in the pub anyway, so we said we might as well do it here on the United Community Podcast. How are you, Ricey?
Fucking yes, guys. Well, Jack.
What's happening? All good?
All good, all good. You?
Yeah, all good, man. All good. Looking forward to getting into it. I suppose let's start straight away with the one and only Manchester United and how bad they were during their opening game against Brighton. Yeah, I have to say first and foremost that I think as bad as Manchester United were, you would have to hand it to Brighton. I thought they were well organised, they have a great manager, but United were so bad.
Yeah, I thought they looked a lot better than they were last season.
Yeah. Well, look, obviously the 4-0 defeat at the end of last season, this year it is only 2-0, so you're not going to say, it's an improvement because it's still a defeat. But, obviously with, leading into the game, there wasn't, look, I don't think there was an awful lot of positives going into the game. Obviously with, the main thing with Manchester United at the moment is the transfer window and the lack of activity in it. And, a week leading up to the first game of the season, you have all of this talk about Ronaldo and, the fact that he wants to leave and the fact that he left at halftime. What's your opinion on it? Would you keep Ronaldo? Would you let him go? What do you think?
I don't know. Like, the thing about Ronaldo is, like, he's one of the greatest players of all time, if not the greatest. People will obviously have their arguments between him and Messi. Very hard to let him go, but, like, he's a club legend, but seems like he has no problem really disrespecting the club and kind of showing his way out. I was only talking to one of the lads, one of my mates, on a golf course the other day, and he was saying, like, it shows really how obsessed Ronaldo is with these records that, like, he was willing to be linked to it going back to, like, a return to Sporting Lisbon because they're in the Champions League to perhaps, like, bang in a pen or two or a couple of group stage goals, just to up that. I think he's 14 or 15 goals ahead of Messi. So I think he just really wants to, like, really lay down a marker on all these records,
Yeah, because it has to be that way. Because, like, what I was talking about in one of the videos last week was, like, the links of him with even with the likes of Atletico Madrid. Like, he was willing to tarnish his whole reputation with Real for the sake of a few. Like, he's not going to win the league with Atletico, and he's not going to win the Champions League. So he's basically looking to get his stats. I think he's worried about Messi coming up behind him because what's Messi? 3 years younger than him, so he's going to get more chances, and there's not an awful lot in the difference. Like,
Oh, Ronaldo has Messi on the brain. I tell you, a day doesn't go by when Ronaldo doesn't think of Messi. He's absolutely, I say he hates the cunt.
yeah. Well, like, the one thing I would say about Ronaldo is, like, okay, he is single-minded and he is, driven for individual awards and stuff like that. But if he is to leave Manchester United, where are we going to get 24 goals that we didn't have last year?
I know, yeah. And even, like, it kind of showed it. Like, I was just thinking earlier on, like, realistically, for Ten Hag coming in, I know Brighton are a good team. They've kind of established themselves in the Premier League now. like their main aim every year is to stay up. They obviously want to try and push on a bit, but like it's an absolute dream fixture to come into for your debut. You're coming out to a packed Old Trafford. You know, like I know you lose there Martial a few days before, then more than likely he probably would have started the game. But like you're coming out against Brighton, a pure mid-table team, like you'd
Yeah.
be hoping to win that game 2-3-0. It's not even away. You know, you're after avoiding in your first fixture, you're after avoiding the likes of Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, City, you know, even the likes of Leicester away and these kind of tricky ones. You have Brighton at home and you go out and lose 2-1 and could have lost more. Like we'll get into
Yeah.
the game in a minute. There's been incidents there, like, you know, like that was penalty, which your man Martinez, stonewall penalty.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought McTominay, as shite as he was lucky to stay on the field.
Max Sauce definitely should have seen red. That was,
Yeah.
look, he's out of, he's not, he didn't look sharp. He didn't really look, he looks very leggy.
No,
He lost possession a
he
lot of
looked his
times.
usual self, Ricey. He looked his usual self. You know, I think he's absolute muck. Like he's so slow on the turn. His first touch is terrible, which led to him nearly getting sent off because it was so bad. I was counting it. I went back and looked at the game in the first half. He gave away the ball 9 times in the first half, and one of them led to a direct goal.
Yeah, and if you like, you look at that Brighton side again, very good. They've Danny Welbeck cast off from United. He's gone from United, what, 6, 7 years, probably more. I don't follow United. You do. You could tell
Yeah.
me that. But
Yeah,
if
he's
you
gone since Van Gaal got rid of him, so that would have been 2014, maybe 2015 max.
if you look at Brighton, have lost arguably their two best players this summer in that Basuma and what, how do you say, Cucurella, is it? And they only lost him.
Cucurella.
They only lost him the other day. So they lost arguably their two best players, came to Old Trafford and bet Manchester United for the first time in their history.
Yeah.
Like things at United are only going to get worse. Then you're coming out today getting absolute rubbish signings. Like that lad Rabiot, he was a cast off Juventus
From
signing. It's one of
PSG.
them kind of things that they kind of generally sign lads on free transfers every season. Signed him 2-3 seasons ago from PSG.
Yeah.
Like, and now you're after, I don't even know what you're after paying from. Like,
Yeah. I
like
think
he's obviously a footballer because he's a professional, but like I don't know what kind of level. Like even being linked with Arnautovic, one thing being linked to him, but actually putting in a bid. Like
I know,
who?
and getting the bid rejected.
Oh, I don't know.
You know what I mean? Now, look, the one thing I would say about Rabiot, right? Okay, he hasn't got the best record in terms of his mentality, and he kind of he's been known to throw the ties out of pram an awful lot, but surely he's better than McTominay and Fred. Surely, you know
I
that's
know,
that's
but
the
it's
one
terrible when
silver
you're
lining
signing
I would have
players.
there.
I know, but it's terrible when that's the stage Manchester United have actually got to, when they're like, look, we're signing a player, at least he'll be better than the other two. Do you know,
Yeah,
like, they're one of the biggest clubs in the world, still are, you know, but like, you can see, as like, you look at Liverpool, one of the biggest clubs in the world, and they went 30 years without Premier League. United could be facing into that, because I can't see that changing anytime soon. From, you look at the top two teams in the Premier League last year were Man City and Liverpool by a country mile. Man City went out and got Erling Haaland, yeah, maybe for 60 odd million, but probably could have 10, 20 million sign on fee. Like that's a big package, whatever way it's coming.
yeah,
You know, they're getting a bargain in a deadly player, but it's not like they're not getting them for peanuts. And then Liverpool went out and signed Darwin Núñez, who Manchester United fans sneered and all at the start, but he's after coming out. Goal. Did he have an assist in the Carling Cup final or in the Community Shield final as well? And a goal and assist in the last
yeah.
match. And this lad looks a player. He looks slightly awkward, but he looks big, strong. He's 6'1" or something. Like he looks like a
But
unit. And
yeah,
these
and it
top
seems
two teams, who were so far ahead of everybody else, have just signed two unbelievable strikers to maybe
yeah.
pull themselves even that bit further ahead.
Yeah, but it seems to be a kind of a trend now that's going on with these big, tall, 6 foot plus strikers. The likes of Haaland, the likes of Nunez. Ten Hag seems to be very interested in him, and I think that would be maybe one of the reasons why he's looking at Arnautovic, as one of these big target men. But like, yeah, and you hit the nail on the head there. Really, like when you have Liverpool and Man City so far ahead, and they go out and improve their squads dramatically, or
Dramatically.
dramatically was a terrible, terrible statement by me there. Drastically over the summer, and so they massively improve over the summer, and we sign a 15 million when I say we, I mean Manchester United, because obviously you're not a United fan, but we signed a 15 million left back who's basically a player for the future. Now, I think that future could be within the next 6 or 12 months easily. We signed a centre back that's 5'9", albeit I think he's going to be a good centre back, and we signed a free transfer with a pacemaker. You know, like that's not going to close the gap. And like I was watching Super Sunday yesterday, and Gary Neville and Roy Keane basically hit the nail on the head. And it was Gary Neville more than anyone, and they said for Ten Hag to be handed that squad going into the start of a Premier League season is just disgraceful. He said if you look at all the other teams around us, Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, Spurs, and Arsenal, they're all ready. They're all ready to start the Premier League season this weekend, and we're not. But Man United are not. And that's the difference there.
I would have loved one of them Prime Video things to be behind the scenes at Manchester United this year.
I'm praying I
That's
don't hear an announcement that United are next on it or anything like that, because it would literally just be
box
the end
office.
of us.
Office. But no, look, get on to the United match there then. The match that will start off with that game. What
Yeah,
what did you feel went wrong?
well, I mean, like, I thought we started quite well. First 5-10 minutes, I thought we were well on top. And I thought that was always going to happen, given the fact that it's the first game of the season. It's a packed Old Trafford, new manager, two of the new signings were starting. I was thinking, right, I was expecting this to start well. And when, regardless of what team you're playing against, you'll always have a dip, and not necessarily a dip, but if you start high, all the other team basically has to do, and we've played soccer together as well, obviously at nowhere near a high level, but you kind of you try and kill the storm at the start, settle into the game, get your shape, and that's what Brighton done. And once they'd done that, Manchester United, again, that kind of the tempo was gone out of the game, and they just kind of they reverted back to their usual selves. We'll get into the Brighton's final third, we'll slow down, and then we'll run out of ideas and not be able to get through them. And it was just so obvious to see straight away that United ran out of ideas very quickly. And Brighton just settled into the game, and slowly but surely they got on top. They got on top. They got a goal.
Brighton had a shot. Brighton had a half chance there. Was that for about 12, 15 seconds?
11 seconds, yeah, 11 seconds. And that, the ball passed out to the low, poor first touch, opened his body too much, and let was a Trossard in. And like, but the goals, I mean, the goals were so criminal. They were so criminal. I mean, the first one was McTominay. It all stemmed from McTominay losing the ball in the middle of the park. And like I said, he lost it, I think, eight or nine times in the first half. And Manchester United, again, slow to react. But like, a lot of people were blaming Harry Maguire for the first goal, because Welbeck ran the channel right behind Maguire. But I would actually blame Martinez more so, because he was the one that could see Welbeck making a run and should have really tracked him, but didn't. And by the time he got to him, it was too late. It was just a square ball. Luke Shaw got sucked in to mark the man basically at the back post, and Rashford wasn't tracking back on the far side, and he just had a clear tap in.
Which
You know what
goal
I
was
mean? But
that?
it
That
comes
was the one
back.
that came across the face of the goal.
Yeah, the first goal. Yeah,
I don't know. I
and
didn't watch much of it again, but like to me, the guy kind of half came, slid out on his knee, and then kind of stopped. I don't know. Maybe he
yeah,
couldn't get it at
he
all.
was well. What I got from him is he's basically covering his near post, expecting his defenders to be covering the back if the ball was to be squared, But again, like, now I'm not a big fan of Luke Shaw, but he was marking the man he was supposed to, and he just had no support from Rashford basically all game. And the second goal, we had Brighton pinned in their corner, and they got out of it with a back heel, and broke all the way up along, say, their left hand side, switched the ball over. Luke Shaw was stood up 1-on-1. And again, Luke Shaw, like, square on all the time. He does it so often. He squares himself rather than side on. And the Brighton player turned in on his left foot. Luke Shaw, as he always is so slow to turn and move. They got shot away, and again, no one tracking in on the back post, and just a second tap in. But it's the old Manchester United ways. When we run out of ideas and the pressure comes on us, we'll just hit the default button and revert back to what we've been doing the last few years.
Yeah, United missed a few chances too. Bruno had one early on, smashed it over the bar.
Yeah,
Half chance. Then you have
Half chance. Yeah.
Rashford missed. Rashford should focus on feeding the kids.
Yeah, I think
Them
so.
kids
I
are
think so. Yeah, like,
them kids are
and
hungry. I'd say it's only
yeah,
going to be a matter of time before them tweets come out.
exactly. But I was all for Rashford getting another chance, And look, I know it's only one game in, and we're not going to lose a run of ourselves or anything. But he needs to pick up his pants big time because he's going to be left with him around his ankles, and he'll be out of that club next year. Ten Hag won't keep him if he has a season this year like he done last year. You know, the fans will be calling for him to go. But he just looks like he's going around with no confidence, and he looks like his head is down. He's not enjoying himself. So, and I was shouting for it. I was saying, get Garnacho on. The young lad is mad hungry. He's bagged loads of talent. And all right, he mightn't have the end product, but he's going to have to be played eventually. So I'd go all out for him, or put him in
Yeah,
the team.
it's early days to jump to massive things. You want him like there was kind of Sancho showed minutes of doing well.
Yeah,
Ericsson, he
I thought
didn't.
Ericsson was our best player.
Yeah, he was.
You
But
know,
look, like the fans are always going to say the likes of him and Martinez were the best players because like they're like we can't turn on them already. We've turned on everyone else.
yeah.
But then
Well, I
Martinez
have to.
was good. But again, just going back to that penalty, absolute
Mm,
stonewall penalty, and absolutely no need for it. Rashford or not Rashford, Welbeck, like kind of like just covering the ball going out towards the end line and
yeah,
just
being
shoulders.
smart and leaning into it.
I don't know how, but your man actually gave him a good shove. I don't know how it wasn't a penalty.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like, I don't know what way they're working VR because there was a lot of issues, say, throughout the whole weekend in relation to it. But even when United scored their goal with Delo, I was certain it was going to be chalked off for a handball because the ball basically came down, hit his elbow, and that's what put the ball into the goal. Now I know last year the rules were if there was a goal, if there was a handball directly leading to a goal, it was automatically ruled out. Ruled out. Now I know that is changing this year. To what extent, I don't know. But when
Yeah,
I
I
was
think no,
doing the watch
I
alongs
think
for it,
that was changed last year, wasn't it? Because
was it?
last season that had changed. Yeah, due to just because the year before the rule was something along the lines of even if it didn't interfere with the flight of the ball, once the ball touched a player's hand leading up to the goal was chalked off, and there was a lot of
Yeah,
like kind of like very good goals or like goals that legitimate goals that were ruled out
yeah,
for the stupid reasoning,
yeah. A
which
couple
isn't
of
terrible.
comments coming in here as well. First few games are trials for those players. Ericsson was excellent. United denied a penalty also for handball. I think that would have been very harsh. I think that was the block by Dunk. I think it was a brilliant block. Obviously, it hit his hand on the way down, but and Brighton should have had a clear penalty with Martinez foul as well. So there's people in the chat agreeing with you as well. But what would you do? I mean, like Manchester United obviously need to improve. Like, and obviously the talk is all around De Jong at the moment and whether United will get him still. But I think we need an awful lot more than De Jong. I think we're very weak at full back. We're very weak in centre midfield. I would nearly be saying we need another centre half because Varane just can't stay fit, and we probably need two
Harry
more.
Maguire.
Harry Maguire,
Um,
Harry Maguire. Now, look, I was saying yesterday during the watch along, during the first half, I thought he was actually defending quite well. You know what I mean? Now, he gave the ball away a couple of times coming out, but he he just doesn't he doesn't read the game very well, and he doesn't organize an awful lot. You know what I mean? Which
now
which I think is vital.
my opinion on him would be like, look, if he had someone, he could be a very, very a good defender. I'd almost come to say like a world class defender if he had a Van Dijk type figure beside him, someone that will command everything, tell him to
Where to go?
kind of what to do. He'll win his headers, he'll win his tackles, but he has so much responsibility on his shoulders now to command all that, and he just doesn't have the facilities for that.
Yeah, yeah,
You
and
know,
look, and
that's
that's what we
kind
were
of my
expecting
opinion.
when.
What you said over all the years, a butcher and a surgeon, and he's the butcher, not the surgeon.
Yeah, I agree with you there. But then you have the likes of Varane beside him, and Varane is more of a surgeon as well than a butcher. You know, like when Varane came in last year, we were thinking, right, this is it. Now we have that butcher surgeon mentality between our two centre backs, and it just didn't work. Now, obviously, Varane, is riddled with injuries at the best of times, but we were expecting him to come in and say, all right, that's it. We're going to stop conceding goals now. But we
Yeah,
conceded the most goals, I think, in any Premier League season we've ever had. So I don't know if it's the organization that comes out from the back, if it comes down to having proper leaders on the field. I don't think we have that. And you look at, say, when Bruno Fernandes first came in and the numbers he put up in terms of assists and goals and stuff. I mean, he's such a petulant player at the moment, and last season as well, throwing his hands up in the air, moaning, and he always has a kind of a moan on his face. Now, Roy Keane had a moan on his face an awful lot when he was playing as well, but he'd done it in a different way with a kind of a snarl. But Bruno Fernandes just seems to be, throwing his hands and throwing his ties out of the pram an awful lot. So I
yeah,
think that's one of the massive issues with United. It's just there's no leaders in the team.
yeah. It's hard to see where it comes from too, because what was the old manager's name last year?
Ranić.
Ranić, and he said he needed 10 players out and 10 players in, and then he got the bullet. I don't know if he got the bullet or just left, but he probably thought that job was even too big for him. Like,
Oh,
I
right,
think
see.
they're like people like us can probably don't even know 25% of what's going on behind the scenes, like there's so much money and so much different things and all these, and even like if they were to axe the likes of Maguire, like it's such a big thing. You're admitting defeat in it, like who he was bought as the world's most expensive defender, and like you're really just giving in. One thing I do not think is, I think it would have been better for him and the club had the captaincy been taken off him, because I think it would have taken a bit of weight off his shoulders. And I don't think he would have been, I don't mean too bothered by it, but I don't think that he would have really minded or kicked up a fuss if that had been taken off him.
Yeah, I
But
think
to
you're right
who?
there. I think there was always an element there of, while he had it, he wanted to keep it. But if it was eventually taken off him, he would have been okay with it and just kicked on with his game and hopefully improved. But again, it goes back to what we just said. Who do you give it to if you take it off him? You know, Obviously the main candidate you would look at is Ronaldo, but we're not looking at him long term. He's only, if he does stay this season, this is going to be his last season with us. Bruno Fernandes is too petulant. David De Gea is a goalkeeper. I'm never a fan of giving.
I wouldn't give it to Gea. Like
No,
De Gea was so loyal and stayed with the club so long and all, but his best years are definitely behind him. And as much as you mightn't want to admit that, you like they are, like.
yeah. Well, look, I think it all comes down to the next 3 weeks now are absolutely vital. Less than 3 weeks in this transfer window. The board have to give Ten Hag what he wants. Now, we've been linked obviously in the last 24 hours to Arnautovic and Rabiot. And on paper, I'm saying to myself, no, absolutely no way. But if it is the case that Ten Hag actually wants these players for a specific reason, then I'm all for it. For anyone who's been watching any of the content that I put out, I'm saying I'm 100% behind the manager in everything he wants to do. I'm totally backing him. He's been given a clean slate. He has the ability to potentially bring Manchester United back to where they need to be. He just has to be given the tools by the board to do it. You know, and
Yeah, it's such a
obviously,
short term thing. It's like you got a new manager now. Now is time to build for the future, and you're bringing in 33-year-old players that played for a year or two over in China, and now plays with who's he play for Belonga or someone, and
yeah, Bologna, yeah,
you're bringing in a lad who got barely any minutes for over the last 2 seasons for Juventus, that Rabiot, and even when he was at PSG, he was barely getting minutes there. He wasn't even good on FIFA 3 years ago when I bought him.
yeah,
Oh, but
yeah,
he's not like he's
yeah. I know what you mean. I know
washed.
what
Like, but I think United fans realise that too. But the only thing is, like, you can't give out about everything. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to, like, if the manager does bring him in, you have to support him and you have to
Oh
go on.
yeah.
It's just a
Well, that's
killer
the one.
scene.
I think that's the one thing that United fans, the gist that I get, obviously from doing the United channel and stuff like that, is that the majority of fans will back any player that puts on the jersey. But where as a fan base we're coming from is that, why are we getting that player? We should be getting better players. Now, I know it's hard to get, tier one players when you're not in the Champions League, for example, and that kind of lure of Manchester United that we had all of them years ago is well and truly gone by now. But if we're looking at spending 14 weeks on trying to get Frankie de Jong over 17 million. I mean, 17 million when it comes to deferred wages for one player is a hell of a lot of money. But when it comes to a transfer of a player of his quality, it's not an awful lot. Just pay the fucking money and be done with it, and get
Yeah,
him in the door as
but
quickly
then
as you
you'll
can.
be held hostage then by every club. You know what I mean? It's like a thing of principle too. And like, I know you have this thing saying, "Oh, would United still be going from if he really didn't want to go?" Does he even really want to go to United? I know United fans will say he does, but like, I don't
Well,
know.
the way I put it, Ricey, is that, and I actually used the analogy in one of the lives that I done. Manchester United, as naive as they have been over the last maybe 10 years or so on certain transfers, I don't think they're stupid enough to still be going for De Jong if he didn't give any indication that he wanted to come to United. And I use the analogy: if you walked into a nightclub when you were 21 and the first one you saw, you you asked for a number and she said no, you'd move on. You wouldn't be still there at 5 to 2 before the nightclub ends trying to get her number,
Dean
regardless of
Woods
how good
would,
looking she was. Well, I probably would have, you know what I mean? But
and so would Woody.
so would he. But you know what I mean? I don't think United would still be in for De Jong if he didn't give any indication that that he didn't want to come. I think Ten Hag has been on the phone to him surely and saying, "Look, you know, let's go. I want to build my whole team around you." You
Yeah,
know,
but I don't know. Like reiterating that he's happy there. I know he wants his money and he wants to get all that sorted, but like, surely if he did become available for say 60, 70 million and everything was sorted, there'd be other teams in from too. And then like, I don't know, I just think you're throwing so many eggs into this basket. Now, if he did pull him off, it would be a great signing. But again, you still need to sort out your Ronaldo situation and you need to sort out a striker big time.
yeah.
I
Well,
don't I don't really know what the stories with left full. Just looking at that, De La Cia, or how do you say it? De La Cia, is it?
Malacia.
Or Malacia, sorry.
Yeah.
He looks fair raw, man. He looks fair
Yeah,
raw.
he does look. Now, I was watching him in pre-season. Now he does look like he has a lot of potential, I have to say, but he is very raw. He is, and there's a lot of people talking the fact that he's heavily left-footed, which I wouldn't be too overly concerned with. I think being overly one-footed as a fullback is I think he can get away with it as a fullback more than any other position on the pitch. Like you look at Patrice Evra, for example, he was heavily left-footed as well, and it didn't really affect him that much.
What was
But I do think by the end of the season he'll be our first choice left back. I think Ten Hag will trust him an awful lot, and if we're going on the back of performances that the likes of Luke Shaw put in, on Sunday, he'll be in quicker than anyone expected.
but not necessarily
Um,
a good thing though, you know what I mean? But
no, it's not necessarily a good thing. Absolutely not. No, a couple of comments here as well. Right back and De Jong at a bare minimum. Someone is saying there. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Right back, centre, midfield. And a couple of attacking options. I think is the bare minimum. And someone says Malacia got a nice assist with his right foot in pre-season. He assisted the assist on that one. But yeah, let's move on from Manchester United because I'm sick of talking about them already, and it's only we're only 1 week in.
no, look, we'll move on. We'll do a quick recap of the games, and then we'll talk about a few topics that you brought up earlier on.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
go on to the next game. You will go Liverpool first.
yeah. I mean, I watched Liverpool. I watched the majority of the game, um, and I mean, look, obviously, as a United fan, it's always nice to see Liverpool not winning. I don't think Liverpool fans are going to be overly concerned
No, I
given
don't think
how
so.
they no, given how they played. The one question I would have for you is, okay, you're bringing in £100 million striker in Darwin Nunez,
Yeah.
and you don't start him first game of the season.
Yeah.
Why?
Um, I don't know. Just they brought him off the bench in the Charity Shield, did they?
Yeah, brought him off the
Yeah, they
bench.
brought him
So
off the bench. But like this lad's going to be, he's only 23 years old. He's going to be there, like, even if he does move on after, he's going to be there for 4 or 5 seasons. Bobby's tried and tested. You know what I mean? What better way to bring on your man than in the last couple of minutes? Like, he's still relatively new. He will be a bit raw himself. I seen him up top. Now, I did think he looked very dangerous. I know it might sound stupid. I thought there was certain kind of like aspects of his game that kind of reminded me of the way Torres played. Torres was tall as well. And he's kind of big. I know he's not now as big as Haaland, but he's kind of big and dangly. Gets his way in just as you think he might have lost the ball. He stretches his leg over and puts his arse out and pulls it back in. Do you know?
Yeah, he looks
Uh,
awkward nearly.
yeah, he almost does look awkward, but then you see that finish that he had. Like that was
Yeah,
outrageous finish. That
yeah,
that's kind of like that's raw talent, instinct. You know what I mean? That was a
yeah.
serious finish.
But do you
But
honestly
then
think Liverpool? Go on,
no,
go on
go
ahead
on.
there.
What were you saying?
I was gonna say, do you think Liverpool have strengthened this summer, given the
No,
fact
you
that
see, and
right
I think
Nunez came
Liverpool,
in?
I think Liverpool fans would kind of say that themselves. I obviously have a soft spot for Liverpool, but I think Liverpool fans would say themselves like they definitely needed another centre mid, especially after an injury happened there to Thiago. You don't know, I don't know how long that injury is for now or what he's looking to be out for, but you know. He's a great player. You lose a player of this caliber this early in the season, even if it is out just for a month, it'll take him another 2 weeks to get back up to match fitness. You know, like the way the Premier League goes, it would like you have to be keeping neck and neck really there. You can't be between Liverpool and Man City. They can't let one or the other pull ahead by 10 or 12 points early on in the season. But Klopp doesn't ever really seem to go out and just buy all around him, does he? He kind of seems to make do with what he has. And so far, like it's kind of been doing, he brings in his 1 star or 2 stars every season. And it kind of seems to do the job for him, doesn't it? They
Yeah, well,
are
I
always
think
kind of
like
there.
I think it goes back to even say the old days with, and again, I don't always want to bring Everton back to Manchester United, but the key to Manchester United having so much success over the years was buy when you're strong. You know, if you can get,
Yeah.
and it took Klopp 3 years to get the squad that he wanted in, and to really have a team that played the way he wanted them to play. And once he had that established, it's only about adding one or two lads every year, the right mentality players, the right style of players, and then Klopp will get him in.
But,
He'll do his
but
usual
the,
thing with him and say, I expect this and this out. And if you don't do it, then you'll be gone as quick as you come in.
Yeah, that's why I wouldn't be worried for Liverpool or anything. Look, you can go to Fulham. Fulham is like, I'm actually delighted that Fulham are back up just because it's a nice stadium. Do you know, like it's kind of your old school stadium, tight to the pitch, kind of nice club. But I wouldn't be overly worried about that if I was any Liverpool fans. Like they did rattle the crossbar at the end. They hit the post. Was it Luis Diaz hit the post at another time? Henderson hit the crossbar at the end. I know someone was played through there for Fulham at one stage. I think they're 1-0 up and he hit the inside of the post. It was very
Yeah, that's right.
unlucky. So, like, it was kind of, there was fine margins there, but, like, I wouldn't be overly worried about that. Like, it's going to be a long season. You know, it would have
And
been,
do you think that midfield, given the age that they are going to last? Like, especially you're going to throw a World Cup in the middle of this season now as well, and you have, I think, basically all of their starting centre midfielders are over the age of 30.
yeah, that's going to be a big thing now. Look, maybe they'll pull out someone. I don't know. Are they even linked with people now before the end of the season? Any kind of midfielders? Um, You
Yeah, I
have the
don't
likes
think
of
so.
Hendo, who's I know he's at the wrong side of 30 now, but he has that engine. I know you sometimes want more creativity in the centre mid than him, and you want horses for courses. He can play different types of games. I think the key to him would really be keeping Thiago fit. I know he's been unlucky with injuries, but
Yeah,
Thiago to me seems to actually play better in the bigger games against the better
yeah,
sides. Thiago really stands up and is counted in them games, you know. It's just very
yeah,
unlucky for Liverpool because even if they're fringe players, the likes of Ox and these, they're always picking up injuries. If they could keep all these lads fit, I know Ox isn't going to set a world of light, but you know he'll still do a job somewhere for you. But like they're kind of
absolutely, yeah.
fringe players are like,
In relation to Fulham, then Robbie is after putting in a message there. Fulham look good, and Mitrovic was savage. And I have a note put down here to talk about Mitrovic. And obviously, he's been with Fulham now twice in the Premier League, and I think he's a brilliant player. Now look, he's not a world class player by any stretch of the imagination, but for a team like Fulham, I think he's absolute gold.
yeah, look, Mitrovic scored 40 odd goals this season. He he was pony when he was in the Premier League last, and the year before he came up to the Premier League he bagged a load of goals, not near 40, maybe 16, 18 goals in the Championship. So like even in my fantasy football team this year, I was like, fuck Mitrovic. But
Yeah.
like, Jesus Christ, did he prove me? He just looked like he's
He looks
Serbian, isn't
lean.
he? He what?
He looks
He's
lean. I thought
he's Serbian, isn't he?
I think so, yeah.
I used to work with a Serbian fella, like absolute mental bastard. You know what I mean? He goes on. That's Belgrade, I think, over there. Partizan, he was a fan of, and like, I think they're crazy places. Like he was at, he'd go to Partizan Belgrade, and there's some other team, Belgrade over there. He was showing me pictures from, you know, and they'd be going to derby games. It's nothing like you've ever seen before. Like
Yeah, yeah.
you think United Liverpool is bad. Like these us, like there's so many flares in the stadium. You think one of the stands is on fire. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, yeah,
places
yeah.
are crazy. So,
Yeah.
like, he has probably that mad streak to him where even that goal, he gave Trent absolutely no hope. But I also thought I was only talking to lads in train about this the other night. It looked as if Trent didn't even know that he was coming behind him. Trent wasn't
Yeah.
side on. Trent was facing his own goal. It was like he was waiting for the ball to come to knock it out for a little header for a corner. And what's called just bulldozed in over him. To me, it looked as if he didn't even know that Mitrovic was coming behind him. You know what I mean? Like, you give him the benefit of doubt that he didn't know because he didn't actually do anything to prevent him jumping and headering the ball. But it was a great header. He just wanted to
Yeah.
win that ball, didn't he?
Absolutely. Yeah,
But
absolutely.
Van Dijk is your Rolls Royce defender. I know Man United fans might say this and that, but look, a lot of it
No, he is.
jealousy. Like, he's class, and you can't deny that he's a class act, and it shows it that was the first time since he joined Liverpool that he got. Was it that someone took the ball around him and he fouled him? First time.
Right. Yeah.
I was reading that somewhere that it was the first time that someone took the ball around him and he actually fouled him since he's joined Liverpool. Like,
Yeah,
now you
that's
can't.
unbelievable. In fairness, you have to say, and look, like obviously United fans and all that, but you'd have to like, I'd always hold my hand up and say he's probably the best defender in the world. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
as
honestly.
much as you'd hate to say it, but yeah, right. So Spurs, I mean, Spurs had an absolute lightning start. In fairness, now obviously not within the game because they did go one goal down, but obviously coming back with a 4-1 win, um, I was so very impressed by him. I have to say, I think, and I said it even before. I suppose the weekend games happened that I think they'll be. I'm not saying there or thereabouts in relation to challenging with Liverpool and City because I think they're still too far ahead. But I think they'll be a lot closer to City and Liverpool than they will be to the likes of Chelsea and Arsenal and United behind them.
Yeah, Arsenal could be, if Arsenal hold things together, they could be there or thereabouts too. We'll talk about that in a bit. But no, yeah, look, Spurs did look good. I really thought it was going to just be all Spursy there when they went 1-0 down. But like, they did get back. They played some nice football. Conte made some nice signings.
Well,
You know?
the one player that I was so impressed with the other day for Spurs was Kulishevsky. Now I know it was it January they signed him, um,
Yeah, I thought
and
that was
there was
actually only on a loan that they signed him last year.
yeah. Well, a lot of it, like a lot of the a lot of plaudits over last January signings were going to Diaz for Liverpool. But
Yeah.
Kulishevsky actually has better stats. I read somewhere that he actually has more goals and assists than Diaz did.
Yeah, but it
Um,
doesn't have the swaz.
well, he doesn't have the swaz, and his
No.
name doesn't really,
No.
it doesn't
Like,
roll off the
Diaz
tongue
looks
either.
real cool as well, like, you know. And he doesn't even speak English, which makes him even cooler.
Yeah, it makes him sexier. But
Yeah.
I have to say, I was so impressed with him. I thought he was absolute lightning, and like you see Spurs after going out and signing Richarlison, and if you have Kane, Son, and Kulishevsky playing the way they played on Saturday, was it they were playing? Richarlison's not going to get anywhere near that team.
I personally don't see where Richarlison's going to fit into that team. Spurs are in the Champions League, aren't they?
Spurs are in the Champions League, yeah.
Yeah, like maybe if Spurs qualify out of the group, he'll play the fourth, fifth game. You know, like he'll come on, uh, give extra legs for Harry Kane there in some games. But I can't see where he's going to get regular game time. It's not as if he can play as like high right or high left unless they try and play him that, you know. But like I
Yeah.
thought he's just kind of an out and out centre forward.
But but even with I think with the signings that they made, like Basuma for 25 million was a steal. Really was, like, I think United missed a trick with that as well. and even your man Jed Spence coming in now.
Nah, don't have
Do you
that.
not think so?
Nah, I read up on him. I never heard of him before the championship this year. I seen him crying. He was crying into a yoke. He ran away from the whole team. And he was crying into the thing. I seen a lot of things underneath it that, like, people that Middlesbrough fans and all saying he's doing all this for the camera. He was on loan from Middlesbrough. Couldn't get into the Middlesbrough team. Went on loan to Nottingham Forest. Now, to be fair, started nearly every game for them. Nottingham Forest got promoted. His loan was obviously up. Went back to Middlesbrough and then signed. I can't see him even getting into that Spurs team. Now
Right,
he's
that's
only
him gonna.
20 or 21, so maybe. But like, I did see a lot of lads at Middlesbrough, they fans just on forums and that couldn't believe that Spurs were interested in him.
Right, that's him gone out of my fantasy team. So.
Well, he's going for right wing back, like, and for that position, you already have Matt Doherty, you have Perisic. I know now the manager buying him, he obviously sees something in him, but I don't know what he
But
sees.
surely Matt Doherty is not going to get into that team. He was absolutely rubbish last year.
Matt Doherty played, I'd say, the most games at right. Your man Emerson Royale plays right full as well. I
Yeah.
don't know, like, I don't know. I did have a friend, I think he's listening here, he was brought Perisic into his team for fantasy football, and he was gutted to see that Perisic wasn't starting on Saturday morning.
Yeah, but sure, I did it as well. We'll get into the fantasy in a few minutes, but I had 3 players in my fantasy that didn't get a minute.
Yeah, but that doesn't
So,
surprise me.
you know, so I'm absolute pants at. Anyway, yeah, look, I think Spurs will be thereabouts this
They did
season. I really do. I think they'll be closer to the top 2 than they will to the bottom 6, if
Oh
that
yeah,
makes
no, I
sense.
know exactly what you mean. And like, look, it's about time Spurs have come a light. They were in the doldrums for a long time. They have a nice, lovely new stadium now. You know,
Yeah.
they're
Um,
and your man, to be fair, Eric Deer got a lovely little header there, lovely little flick.
Yeah, he did. Eric Dyer, yeah, great call in fairness to him. And it was a lovely little ball in out of Son as well, who I did have in my fantasy. Let's see what people are saying in the chat here. Huge questions to be answered before the end of this window. I don't know. There's a lot of users, or there's a lot of people listening here now, and their usernames are just random. So I don't know your first names. If you can change your usernames, guys, I'll be able to read out your names as well. Someone asked, will Ronnie stay? I think he will, just for the fact that I don't see anyone coming in and having the money to sign him, really, you know. And I think, if he does go out, I would be completely against him going out on loan, because it just means Manchester United are going to be paying 500 grand a week not to have his services, So, and someone asked him as well, will De Jong come? I'm still positive on De Jong, to be honest. I think eventually he will. I think this Saturday is basically the deadline. The 13th of August is the deadline for Barcelona to have their players registered with La Liga. So it's going to have to be sorted before then, and if it isn't, he'll, if he's not registered with La Liga, it's pretty clear he'll be leaving. But if he is, then it's going to be at the expense of someone like Lewandowski or one of their new signings, which I don't think is going to happen either.
And just going down Barcelona, what's it called? What's the other striker? Depay. He surely is on the
Depay.
see.
Well, I think they're open to even letting him go on a free now at this stage, just to get him off the books.
Like,
But
how
he
did
said
they
he is
do it?
open. I don't know I like. What Barcelona are doing over there this summer is absolutely criminal. I
Would you
don't.
take? Would you take the play at United? I would.
I'd take him
I'm
back.
not a
Yeah, I
United fan,
would.
but I would if I was United.
Yeah, I would. I'd certainly take him back. I done a TikTok on it a couple of weeks ago when we were first linked with him, and I think if Rashford is 100% on his game, which I can't see happening, and Sancho is 100% on his game, then maybe he doesn't get in and he'd be a squad player. But I certainly, given how I suppose thin United are in the front line at the moment, I definitely take him.
Just a quick one there,
So
Bazuna. Even though he shipped 4 goals the other day, I was actually impressed with him. He pulled off a good few saves. That's a great
yeah,
thing. Seen a lad like that from Ireland. He was playing with Shamrock Rovers. I seen him up in Tallaght Stadium maybe 4 years ago. He was only 16, chose to stay in Ireland, do his leaving cert, and still got the move to City. Got Portsmouth player this season last year.
yeah,
Like, great to see young Irish.
that is.
Now Ireland have 2 starting keepers in the Premier League, and then they have the third there with Liverpool, who
Yeah, Kelleher, isn't it?
seems to be sought after as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone has asked me here in the chat, am I signing for the Warren this year? Absolutely not. I'm retired. And Robbie says, Perisic is in both my teams, and Sessegnon started ahead of him and got a goal. And then someone is slagging you, Ricey, for saying Eric Deer rather than Eric Dyer.
Oh,
Um, so,
say,
yeah.
say that could be Bash.
Probably is Bash. Anyway, let's move on to City. We didn't speak about City yet, I don't think, but
Oh,
there's
well,
only one person to talk about when it comes to City, and that's Haaland. Like, I'm going to put it out there now. I think he's easily going to get 30 goals this season. He's like, I think watching the City and West Ham game, it reminded me an awful lot of that season when Conte was over Chelsea, when basically all it was assist by Fabregas, goal by Costa. Assist by Fabregas, goal by Costa. I have a feeling it's going to be De Bruyne with the assist, Haaland with the goal all season.
yeah, it's like, geez, he did look very good, didn't he? He was like, I didn't put my hand up, I didn't put him in my fantasy team. I thought Kane would have been the one to go at the first weekend.
Yeah.
But he proved me wrong. Even that second goal, the first goal did so well for the penalty. Got there, got taken down, Stonewall penalty, and slotted away. Second goal he scored, lovely ball through. But like he's going in full flight, but he actually like he just looks like he's gliding. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He doesn't even look like he's busting himself, but his legs, he's striding past players.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like it's not a fair fight. He's just he's gliding along and just no one can catch him.
yeah,
Like he didn't even for his second goal, he didn't even take a touch. You know, he was so far ahead
he,
with his stride
he
that
opened his
he allowed
body.
himself to open his body and just
He
slot it away.
opened his
Like,
body and he was telling the keeper, I ain't going in
yeah.
that corner. And the keeper couldn't do anything. Look, it was a great finish and it's going to be a great asset for City. City just have so many options. Like they've another I personally like John Stones a lot. John Stones is a favourite of mine. I like how he dances. I like his hair and style of play. But John Stones isn't in the team. He's probably arguably one of England's best centre halves. They've Ake there, who was non-existent over the last 2 years, just playing games now. Kyle Walker there, they've Cancelo, and all these lads can be rotated out for other lads that can be easily brought in. They brought in this Alvarez. Is that his name up front? Alvarez.
Yep.
Never heard of him before the season, but geez, he got a nice goal in that Community Shield final. And he came from River Plate or somewhere, I think. I think he was highly regarded over there. It always
Yeah, there was a lot of teams looking for him throughout Europe as well. I think even United were looking for him. So,
should look. They're looking
um,
for everybody.
yeah, sure,
Chelsea, I'm
yeah,
surprised Chelsea just try and sign everybody anybody that someone else is linked with.
yeah. Well, getting on to Chelsea then as well. Obviously, I actually watched the Chelsea game as well in full, and I mean, Chelsea were absolute rubbish.
Yeah.
I thought they were lucky to get away, even with the win. Obviously, it was a penalty, and like against a very poor Everton side, and you know, I just think, and I have it down in my notes here as well. Do Chelsea need a number 9? I think they're so desperate to get number 9. You know, obviously Sterling is after coming in, and I think it's a very good signing, but I don't think that gives them enough up front really to get goals.
Yeah, but I think with the style of play he plays, does he actually play a number 9 or is it more of a false 9? Like, is he playing someone up top there? Like, I know you can always suit someone in, but is he playing with like a
Well, I think his
or a
idea
Suarez
originally
type
was to
player?
do that.
What?
Yeah, his I think his idea originally was to do that, and that's why he bought Lukaku. But
I'd
then
say the
obviously
club bought
Lukaku,
Lukaku, to be honest.
yeah, but
I'd say I'd say the manager thought like, yeah, like Lukaku come back grand, but I'd say it was a thing out of the club. I thought when Lukaku was come back, I thought he was going to rip it asunder, man. I thought he was going to rip it asunder. He was absolutely as bad as he was the first time at Manchester United.
yeah, I don't know what it is with him. Yeah, now I think obviously the comments that he came out with, after about a month and a half of being with Chelsea about loving to eventually wanting to go back
Ah,
to
he's
Inter
like a
Milan and all that, obviously didn't help. You
bubble.
know, yeah, absolute. Sure. But
Imagine-
the one thing I find with Chelsea and with Tuchel especially, I find her a one-trick pony. Like, he never, ever changes his formation, ever. You know, he plays 3 at the back, 2 wing backs every single game. Never, ever changes it. And I think he's too easy to read. I think the likes of Guardiola and Klopp, the top coaches, I think haven't figured out already.
Yeah, like, geez, Koulibaly was a great signing. Like, would have been a great signing 2 years ago. Probably still is. I'm not criticising him, but he's your big blocky centre half. It's going to be part of a tree now. Look, Chelsea have still so much potential there, but just something inside it feels like it's very wrong to me. Like, I don't think
Yeah.
they will have a great season. But look, I could eat my words there. I just don't think for some reason, like, they've Reece James and Chilwell, two of the best fullbacks in the league. They brought this, how do you say, Cucurella, is it?
Cucurella, yeah.
Yeah, like, and they have your man Emerson too, and I know your man Alonso now is supposedly on his way to Barcelona. They have loads of centre halves. They've Koulibaly. This kept on. Aspilicueta signed a new 2-year contract, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
They have your man, them young lads, Sar.
I worry for him in the defence in relation. Right, you have Koulibaly, right? Okay, he's only 31, but he's a big stocky chap
Yeah,
alongside the likes of Silva. I mean, obviously, if Cucurella is going to come in there and play as the third one, he's the only one with decent pace out of the three of them.
yeah. I
So
don't
I
know
I
what.
think that,
I've heard things about Koulibaly over all the years and how class he is, and I probably would have said myself he was class without even seeing him. Really, just I
yeah, he's
never
been linked with
really.
English clubs for the last
Yeah,
7 years.
never ever really watch Italian football. But look, he had a decent debut. Look, we'll see how he goes on. I think like the winning of anything for them is the likes of Reece James and these wing backs. Like you see Liverpool's wing backs, Man City's wing backs, Chelsea's wing backs. Like they provide so much weight, so much attacking, like
Options.
options, and teams that don't have that really suffer from that. Like they attack so high. Me and three of the lads went over last year, and we went to Liverpool West Ham. It wasn't the best game, but it was in Anfield. Great atmosphere, great day out all around. But it was actually so weird watching the match and see how high Robertson and Trent actually play up the pitch. Like at the best of times, it was only the two centre halves, like maybe on their halfway line or maybe slightly inside their own half, and maybe the six sitting in front of them. But like the lads, and they got caught once or twice, but the centre halves were so good they were able to kind of deal with it. A few diags were played into the corner where Trent wasn't because they'd stay up the pitch so much. Like they're
Yeah, and pin
essentially
back the
wingers.
opposition's
Oh,
fullbacks.
yeah. Oh, I couldn't believe now actually just witnessing it firsthand like that, how far they actually stayed up the pitch.
Yeah, if you were playing centre back there now, you'd be absolutely cacking yourself getting
I'd
by,
be telling
get
them
in there.
I'd be telling them you're fucking defenders. you know, get rid of that ball.
Yeah, oh yeah. I've heard it all before, mate. Right, look, finally, with a couple of minutes to go, let's talk fantasy. How did you get on?
Fantasy. I'm in a few different fantasies now. Me and the boys did a thing there a few years ago. We started this fantasy draft, which is very good crack. Only we have cheaters,
How,
lads who
explain.
lads they like to merge their teams together and things like this. It only gets on when it gets to the business end of the season. Essentially, the draft is if you 8 of us do it and you set up a time. What time you're going to do the draft at? So, say you pick 8 o'clock on a Thursday before the Premier League starts. So, at 8 o'clock on the Thursday, you all sign into the group on Fantasy Premier League. And next minute, bang, the second 8 o'clock hits, one of us gets the first pick. I got the last pick this time. And we done 2. I got the first pick another time. But if you're the first pick, you pick one player. Once that player is picked, he can't be picked again. So whoever goes first picks either, like, first is going to probably be Salah, then Haaland, Kane, De Bruyne, people like this. So when it gets down to 8 has 2 picks, and then it goes back down the way. So the teams are fairly level loaded, but like just goes on throughout the year. Then you can transfer players between each other and all. But kind of
Right, yeah.
goes a bit pony when lads start transferring players to lads. It's very suspicious
Oh,
transactions.
so what are lads texting each other saying transfer me this player and that player?
Oh yeah, a lot of that going on. A lot of that going on. Say that's probably going on already. You know,
And how did you get on points wise?
points in that would be a lot lower. I think I got around 45 points in that, but in the overall one, I think I got 64 points.
That's good going,
Um,
man.
yeah,
Give us your team there.
the main thing about it was one sec. You give me your team there first while I'm getting up mine.
Yeah. So I had a terrible week. I had 37 points is all I had, which was absolute cack. I had Martinez in goal for Aston Villa against Bournemouth, so I was thinking, right, lovely, clean sheet here. No, he got me 1 point. I had Trent in, obviously, I say a lot of people have Trent there, so I only got a point off of him. I had Cucurella, who only came on for the last 10 minutes and got a
Terrible
yellow
signing.
card.
Terrible.
Got a yellow card. Yeah, yes.
Why would you have
62 and a
him?
half million. Scandalous.
Oh, but
I
why?
had, I actually, I actually started Jed Spence from Spurs,
Jed Pence.
thinking, thinking he was going to come in. He didn't play him, or did he come on? I think he come on with like 60 seconds to go, so got 0 for him. And then Cresswell, I was playing 3 at the back, so then Cresswell was substituted in for Spence because he had 1 point, obviously playing against City. I went 5 across the middle. Now I was thinking this is a good midfield: Sancho, Luis Diaz, Son, Bailey from Villa, and Mason Mount, which I was thinking, right, this is a good midfield here. Sancho got me 2, Diaz got me 2, Son got me 10. I had him as captain. Bailey got me 2, and Mount got me 3. And then up front, I had Jesus. He got me 2 points, and I had Haaland as vice captain. He got me 13. So I had 37 in total.
Yeah, I'm playing you next week in the Rice Cup, and I'm hoping
Head
to
to head.
smash you. But no, we'll go with my team here. I went with the old Mike Bassett 4-4-2. Went with Ederson in the goals. Cancelo, Alexander Arnold, James, and Trippier. They all got 7 bar Alexander Arnold.
That's good.
Salah, captain in midfield, got the 24 as Skip. Mount, Neto, Bailey, all of them were shy. I don't know. Like, they're very similar teams all around. I was looking at some of the boys' teams, and we might have 6 or 7 of the same players, But that'll all peter out in a while. Then I had Jesus and Kane up top. I was lucky enough with Kane, though. I transferred out Kane straight after the Man City match for Haaland. And Kane is after dropping 0.1, and Haaland's after going up 0.1 now. So there's 2.2 in the difference.
So did you get in before that change was made?
Yeah, I got in before that change was made, yeah.
Nice, nice, nice. Are you bringing in anyone next week? Well, you probably don't want to tell me, but
No, but
well,
that's
you're
my
after
transfer.
telling me.
That's my
Oh,
transfer done already. I don't think I'll be
right, yeah,
going
yeah.
minus anything this week. Like, I was reading up on it, and I was thinking sometimes I go -8 and all this. Do you know when you're midway through the season? But like, really, if you do go minus a player, you have to, like, that player really has to be scoring or doing something
Yeah,
to actually justify that.
yeah. Right, before we finish up, Ricey, give me your bottom 3. Who's going to get relegated? And give me your top 6.
Ooh, right. Top 6. Gonna
No,
go.
give me relegation first.
Right, relegation first. Right, 1 second. I just go onto the laptop here and look up
Yeah,
the Premier League
go
just
for
for a
it.
second.
Yeah, go for it. The promoted teams were Bournemouth, Fulham, and Nottingham Forest, if that makes it any easier.
As much like I was delighted to see Nottingham Forest came up. I seen you did a program on Nottingham Forest made good signings or something like that. I don't think they did. Nottingham Forest signed like 11 players, but lost 10 players from last year because they had so many lads on loan. They came up, and their number one keeper from last year put in a transfer request. I know they
Did
got
not
Dean
know that.
Henderson, who's probably better. But some
Yeah,
lad, some African geezer, I think they said that he was kind of shitting his pants maybe going into Premier League, and he'd be found out. So he went back to France to like Metz or Nantes or something like this. But in the Premier League, say to go down, I'd say, look, Forest. I don't want them to go down, but I think they'll go down. Um,
Bournemouth.
Yeah, Bournemouth. Yeah, it has to look likely that Bournemouth go down. I know they got.
Although I do think Scott Parker's a very good manager / coach.
He is very good / coach, but look, fuck it, Bournemouth are a rotten club anyway. 12,000 seater stadium, like fuck them, they can go back down. And then I don't know. I'm going to give Fulham the benefit of doubt and stay up.
Leeds.
No, I'm going to give Leeds the benefit of doubt. I'll go Palace, right? Look, wild card Palace.
Ooh, Palace.
Yeah, look, I'm
Patrick
going to
Vieira doing bits there.
No, he's not. You see me, swole as fuck, eating mass gainer. He is fat as fuck.
Right, go on. Give me your top 6 then. You start with 6. 6 to 1.
6th, I will go with. Oh. 6th, I'll go with Manchester United in 6th. I'll go with Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham, City, Liverpool.
Oh, Liverpool with the win.
Liverpool with the W.
Interesting. Yeah, I went. Now, obviously.
And wait, sorry, mind this. I am saying United are getting into 6th at a scrape.
Okay.
You know, I don't even know if United will get top 6.
Right. Okay. Interesting. It's good to know, considering you're on the United Community Podcast. But
just trying to ruffle a few feathers. I've only West. They will get in at 6th.
I like your honesty.
They will get in at 6th.
Well, do you know what we'll do? We'll do it again. We'll give predictions again once the transfer window closes, because obviously there's business to be done.
Yeah.
And a lot of teams are going to be doing business between now and the end of the season anyway. Look, Ricey, I appreciate it. It's been great. Any comments coming in here? Predictions for the season? Asked Robbie. Yeah, we just went through them, and then I think it was Bash said Jack is a bandit playing off of a handicap of 14. I'll have you know I'm down to 12, Bash. Down to 12, bye.
Do your top 6. Top 6. Come on, I'm not letting you go with this.
My top 6. Oh yeah, so my top 6 were, I have Arsenal in 6th. I'm not convinced by him. I'm not convinced by their manager either. I think he's crap. I'm going to go with. Do I give you my head or my heart here?
No, go with your head there. You know, just go whatever you think.
My head.
Want United to do better.
Yeah, right. Obviously, with my heart, I would be putting United in 4th, but I'm going to put them in 5th with my head. And then I'm going to go Chelsea in 4th. I'm going to go Spurs in 3rd. I'm going to go Liverpool in 2nd. And I'm going to go City in 1st. Now, I think if United
you're probably bang on right with that going with your head. That is a fucking big head.
That is a big head. It is, but it's not as big as your nose.
Slab.
So, look, no, but I think if United do make some signings before the end of the window, you know, if we can get the likes of De Jong over the line, if we can get the likes of, you know, I think Anthony is pretty much done and dusted. But if we can get some more attacking options in, I see that young Seshko is now basically going to Leipzig, so that's off the cards for United as well.
Yeah, that's right. He's going from one Red Bull team to another, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. So they're just keeping him within the 4 walls, really, like, you know what I mean. But look, no, it's been great, Ricey. I really appreciate it, man. If anyone is looking to maybe get in contact with me or anything like that in relation to any of the social media that we do, you can DM me on Instagram. We're United Community Channel. We're on YouTube. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. Make sure you go and follow us. Give a like on this podcast as well if you haven't already done so. Anyone who's listening back to it later, if you're listening on Spotify, please give us a 5-star rating as well, and like and share and subscribe wherever you're listening. Ricey, I really appreciate it, man. Thanks for joining in. Hopefully we'll get you back on again.
Soon to be on. Jack is soon to be on United Community Channel Only Fans.
Right, let's leave it at that. Ricey, appreciate it, man.
Sound.
Thanks everyone for watching and listening, guys, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.